Hi, it's Maureen, and welcome to this February bullet journal video. If you're new to my channel, thanks for checking me out. This month, I'll be using the cluster of hearts from the Celebrate with Tag stamp set and real red and polished pink markers and ink pads, along with the smoky slate ink pad, all from Stampin' Up. This stamp set is a cling mount rubber stamp set. I've already attached the cluster of hearts and the dotted lines to the acrylic block. This will be a minimalist type of layout this month. I'll be using my Zig Writer marker, I got a new one, and my Kuretake marker along with the 990 Tombow marker. I'll add in some other markers along the way. Everything will be in the description. Before we start, let's do a flip through of my January setup. If you haven't watched that, I'll link it below so that you can check it out. I had so much fun creating this layout. I used some pages more than others, but I'm still so happy with it. For this month, I'll get started by writing love in the center. The quote for this month is, "Love is like the wind. You can't see it, but you can feel it." This is a quote from Nicholas Sparks from the movie the book A Walk to Remember. I'll add that in later. But for right now, I'm starting off with love in a large font, and then I'm going to go in with my Staedtler pigment ink marker and write the rest in a smaller straight print font. And then I'll be adding a bigger font at the end. I like to vary the fonts because it makes it more interesting when I do that. And it makes it more catching to the eye. So the last word, feel, I'm going to use my real red ink and my polished pink marker to alternate the letters for the word feel. Once I finish writing feel, then I am going to use my Staedtler marker. By tracing around feel, it helps that word to pop out, and it adds some color to the page as well. Next, I'm going to grab my Zig marker and I'm going to trace a border around the quote. And I'm going to trace that border on the very last dot on each side of my page. So the bottom and the top and the left and the right. Again, it helps your quote to pop out of the page. Next, I'm going to start using my stamps. I'm going to get my cluster of hearts and stamp them in real red. I'll stamp them at the bottom left, and then I'll stamp them in the top right. When you're using markers, sometimes you'll notice that the image does not come out as clearly as you want if you're stamping on a surface that's not very even. So when I stamp on the left side of my book, the surface is not super even, which is why I'm putting my hand under the book to kind of give it more pressure. But even so, you can see there are some spaces where I will use my marker to color it in. And Stampin' Up is awesome with the way that they coordinate their colors so well that I can use the same color marker for that I have stamped in the ink, and it matches up just as if I stamped it in the beginning. So now I'm adding a second border around, again, just to make that page pop and just to make it have a little bit more interest. And I love doing things like this to just bring more joy and happiness to the pages for myself. So once I've done that, I am going to pull out my Tombow marker, and I'm going to use my Tombow marker to add a drop shadow. So on the right side, a few years ago in my February layout, my layout included envelopes, and I decided I wanted to do like an envelope with a love letter again. So I'm taking that same idea from a few years ago and I'm leveling it up. And I'm going to have hearts coming out of the envelope, like just love overflowing from the letter. So I'm using this tool here I got from Raksha, and it helps you to find the middle of the page. So what I did is I marked the middle of the page, and that way I could make the middle of the flat of the envelope line up with the middle of the page, and then that just centers my envelope a little better. So I'm using my Zig marker to trace that envelope around and on the image. I first wrote it with pencil. I drew it out with pencil and then traced with the marker. On this right side, I am writing "All you need is love," and I'm using the polished pink marker and writing it with big letters to balance out the page. Since the left side has "feel" written big, I thought love should also be written big. And varying, like I've said before, when you vary the size of the fonts, you vary whether you're printing or hand lettering or using cursive or whatever, it makes it more interesting. So it is nice to use different fonts and then also to balance out your page. So lastly on this page, I am writing February because it is the month of February. Here I'm adding the author of that quote, and I'm going to just jump right on into my calendar page. So on the calendar page, I am using my water painter. This is also from Stampin' Up. And what I did is I squeezed my ink pad and got a pool of ink on the lid of the ink pad, and that way I could use my water painter to get some ink and then color in that left side to just give me sort of a background for writing. Next, I made boxes for each of the days of the month, and those boxes are 5 by 5. I used pencil to outline the 5 by 5, and then I used my Tombow marker to color that in. And that Tombow marker is also in the description below. After doing that, I erased my pencil mark, and now I'm using my Staedtler pigment ink again to make boxes around each of my days of the month. And this way, each of the days will pop out. I haven't done a calendar page like this in a while, but I decided to do that just to make it different. I love to change it up every now and then. So I'm adding the days of the week at the top, adding in the numbers for the days, or for the dates. And where I have my heading at the top, I'm adding February. And then on the right, I'm going to write goals. And at the bottom, I'm going to write next month. And next, I'm writing big, and then I'm writing month in print, again, to vary those fonts that I am using for interest. I decided to grab a lighter ink pen or ink marker to create lines. So I'm using a Blushing Bride to create lines there. I stamped some hearts. I colored in those hearts where you could see that some were missing. Actually, I'm going to do that in a minute. But I am adding lots of hearts to my page, trying to balance it out. Wasn't super happy with this page, so I just kind of keep adding things until I think it looks okay. So you can see here I'm filling in those hearts where I thought that they looked a little lacking, just to make it look better. I am using my dotted lines. Later, I will come back to this page off camera and stamp those dotted lines crosswise. So I'll have some going up and then some going across. Here, I'm tracing some of the hearts. Just again, trying to make this page look nicer to me. Like it was okay, but I just thought I need a little something else. I need a little something else. So I traced some of the hearts with my Zig marker. And then I still thought, I still need something else. So I decided to add little dots. So I have my 3 dots together. I love making a cluster of 3. I think it just looks really cute when you do that. And then I got my blending brush out, and I got my polished pink ink, and I decided to just put a little bit of shading behind each of the hearts. And I thought that would help and make the image and everything else stand out. And that brought me more joy. So I was more happy with that. So next I'm adding a drop shadow to all of the boxes. And after I add the drop shadow, again, I'm thinking, what else can I do to this page? So I will grab my Zig marker again, and I'm going to add some swirls. And you'll see my little swirls with the lines. I love adding little swirls around. And then I think, I think I'm good with this page. Now I'm happy. All right, next we're going to move on to my 1 line a day. This year, for this month, instead of doing a regular 1 line a day, I am making it a What I Love page. So once I wrote Once I've written what I love, I put day by day. So each day I will be writing down something that I love that happened that day. I'm using my Blushing Bride marker to shade in every other line. It just helps to make the page look better than a blank page, and it also helps me to find the dots when I am writing in each day. I'm using my Real Red marker to trace around love. Again, anything to make that page pop a little bit and add more interest. So I have my cluster of hearts at the bottom. I added some shading. I'm erasing my pencil marks and a little bit of shading to the word love. And now I am ready to move on and add some swirls, some more dots, just to keep it going from all the other pages. On the right side, instead of doing a dashboard, I decided just to, or even a brain dump. Some people that use brain dumps, but I am having a page that I am calling Fall in Love with Life. So I wrote on here, fall in love with love. I don't know what I was thinking. Later off camera, I will change that word to life. So it'll be fall in love with life. Here, I'm going to add things that bring me joy, things that I love about life, like a warm cup of coffee or a hot tea or playing games with my family. I'm going to just list all these things in here. What are some things that you love about life? Comment below and let me know. I might add it to my page because it might be something that I forgot to add. Here I'm adding a cluster of hearts to the top. I'm going to get my blending brush and shade around there as well. I already added some swirls in, and I am ready for my last page of this bullet journal video. So now I'm getting ready for my weekly. I've decided to stick with what I did last month. I really like the way that worked, and I'm going to carry it on. So I am having on the left side, I am setting up my events, and I'll put that on the left side and the right side. So each page will be 1 week, just like last month. If you haven't seen that video, it will be linked below so you can check that out. Here I'm writing the days of the week, and each of these boxes here for the events are 5 by 9. So you can easily do that. I started with the dot to the farthest of the left, and then I counted over 9, and that's how I made that there. So each day has its own box, and this is where I will put things that are scheduled by the date. So if I have something on Monday, like yoga early in the morning, which I do, I will write yoga in that one spot. On Thursday, I think I have a dentist appointment, so I'll write the dentist there. In the center, I'm going to be adding my tasks. And for my tasks, I'm going to have the left side for home and the right side for work. And what I'll do is I'll list the things that I need to get done at home, and then on the right, I'll list the things that I need to get done at work and mark those off as I go along. And this layout works really well for me, so I think I'm going to stick with it for a bit until I come up with something else that I want to try. And here on the right, you can see that I am still creating the boxes for each of the days of the week. And I love having the day of the week right there in the middle of the box. I think that makes it look interesting. So I decided to write the word tasks all the way across the entire page. Last month, I wrote tasks on either side of the page, and I thought, I don't need this twice. So I wrote it once this time and let it stretch across the page. And then I wrote home and I wrote work. For each of the days of the week, I am shading that in using that Blushing Bride marker. Again, anything to make the page pop. It's still a minimalist type of layout. I'm not adding a whole lot to this page, but I do want some color. So that's why I am adding that color in there. So next what I'm doing is I am taking my Real Red ink and I'm going to add the dates to each of these boxes. Once I'm done that, I am going to grab my Tombow marker and add a drop shadow. Again, it makes that pop out when you have that drop shadow there. Gives it some depth. If you look there, it does. It gives it some dimension. And we're doing the same thing to the words home and work. Now I am going to add some clusters of hearts, one to the bottom left, and then one to the top right. this is the same layout I'm going to use all month. So even though I'm not going to show it on camera, I am going to turn the page and create the last 2 weeks of February so that I am all set for the full month. I'm using my water painter again to add a background to the bottom of this page where I am going to add a quote once this dries a little bit. The quote that I'm going to add is going to say, "Today is a fresh start." And every day is a fresh start. You can always make the day better. So if one day doesn't go well, you can get ready for the next day and make it better. So this is a great way to remind myself that each day is a day for a fresh start. So every day I look at this page, that will be right there to remind me that I can always start over. So you can see that I used my blender pen and I add some shading to each of the hearts again to make them pop. Now I am using my Tombow marker to shade in every other line so that when I am writing down my tasks, it will help me to write it straight across, to see the dots, and also to just add more to the page so it's not a big empty space right there. I'm going to add some swirly lines and some dots like I did on all of the other pages, just to keep the consistency of the layout. And there we go. Now we're going to get ready for a flip through once I add some more shading here, or drop shadow. I'm going to add my drop shadow here and then get ready for a flip through. Thanks so much for watching. Please share this video with a friend. Hit the thumbs up, subscribe, and also click the bell to get notified when I post a new video so that you don't miss anything. If you're interested in any of the stamp sets or inks or anything from Stampin' Up that I've used, check out the link in the description, and it will be a link to my Stampin' Up store. And you can click on that and find all the products that you need. They're also listed in the description. Leave me a comment if you have any questions. And again, thanks so much for watching this video with me. I hope that you will join me again next month when I get ready for March. I can't wait to share March with you. Can't wait to share it with myself because I don't know what it will be yet, but I'm sure it'll be fun. All right, enjoy your day. Bye-bye.